Hi, my name is Tristan. I'm going to take up the next 10 minutes of your time, I'm afraid, with a little talk with the title, Am I Indie or Unemployed? And essentially just about the fact that I want to be an indie game developer, and I'm going to talk about the steps that I'm taking in order to make that happen, and my thoughts and feelings about it, etc. You have to take everything that I say with... Was that me? No. With a pinch of salt, because I haven't actually succeeded. I haven't made any money off of games yet. But if you bear that in mind, then maybe, hopefully, the talk will be interesting anyway. So the first question to get out of the way is why you'd want to be indie in the first place. And I'm sure that answer is different to everyone, but you more creative freedom, you get to make the game you want to make. That's one point. Another point would be that you can work on different disciplines. You can do art and game design and programming and sound, or any combination of all those things, as opposed to a larger company where you're always going to be stuck doing the same thing. So this game is called Ruach. I worked on it in my second semester at the Games Academy here in Berlin. When I started the Games Academy, I wanted to work in AAA. I thought, cool, I can make games with big explosions, games that cost lots of money to make, they can be played by millions of players, it's all really exciting stuff. But I also realized that I play primarily indie games, and those are the games that excite me the most because they have more innovative mechanics, etc., etc. While I was there, I also met Johannes Christmann. He's one half of the company that's making the Curious Expedition, and I ended up doing an internship there. And during that time, I thought, making indie games is actually really cool because of the reasons I've already said. And I learned a lot of things during that internship: pixel art, scripting, using Git, etc., etc. It was a very good time. The most important thing I learned, however, was summed up to me by Riyad on the last evening there. And he said, no one knows what they're doing. Okay, so those are his words, not mine. And what that means essentially is that I don't need to work in AAA for 7 years before going indie. You don't necessarily need that experience. I'm sure it helps. But as a game designer, you can work at a big company and you can make a third-person shooting game. You can become really good at making levels for that type of game. You can become really good at designing the camera system for that type of game. But that won't necessarily, it might, help you if you're an indie game making something completely different. Okay, that's another reason why it's good to make indie games now and not get a job, etc., etc. Is because I have nothing to lose. I don't have a kid, so I need less income. Being 23 years old, it might not be the worst thing in the world if I rely on my parents for a month or two again. Also, my opinion, not theirs. And I'm happy with less income than I might be in 10 years' time. The problem is, however, that even if I had a job, I don't have a game idea that I would quit my job in order to work on. So I don't have a Curious Expedition or a Papers, Please. I don't have a really original game idea in mind at the moment because these type of things take time. I need to go for long walks by moonlight. I need to read poetry in the evening and stuff like that. I don't want to make another completely generative game that's been done 1,000 times. But I do those things anyway. Just to gain experience, I make a game every few weeks, different types of games. The one on the left took me 1 week to make. The one on the right, 4 weeks. It's got a puzzle game and a 2-player fighting game. And that means if I have an idea for a 2-player fighting puzzle game in the future, then I already know how to make it. That might not be an issue for many of you who know how to program, but I don't really, so it's important to me. What also could potentially happen, it hasn't happened yet, is that I make a game in a month and I decide, hey, this actually could potentially be worth money and I might want to invest more time in it. So you've made a bunch of games, and the question that comes next is, what do you do with them? And because the indie game scene is a reputation-based market, you can use the Screenshot Saturday hashtag on Twitter. You can gain followers like that. You can use itch.io, upload these little games, so you get followers on itch.io as well. For those that don't know, itch.io is an online distribution platform for games similar to Steam, but a lot smaller. And there's no hurdle to overcome in order to put your games on there. You can just do it immediately for free, etc. Another cool thing about itch.io is you also get a cool graph of your games and how often they've been downloaded and stuff. This is for that first-person walking simulator I showed at the beginning, Ruach. And that got quite a few downloads because it's got a low-poly art style that's very trendy at the moment. But that two-player fighting game wasn't downloaded 650 times like this. It was downloaded 20 times, which isn't quite as good. And the building game with the puzzle, that was downloaded 100 times. And that also gives you an insight into what types of games are downloaded more often, which is interesting. And I can also, I'll use that information when I make games in the future. Maybe I'll steer away from two-player games for the moment unless I find something that I'm really passionate about. Yeah. So this game I didn't make myself, to be honest. Sven, he's sitting back there. He's busy making it. It's a 4-player game with 1 button each. And the reason why I'm showing it is because I made this thing. And this type of game, it's not going to be playable on my arcade machine at the moment, but it will be playable on there in the future. I've made this arcade machine so that I can collaborate with people like you. If you've got any games like this lying around, get a hold of me so you can meet more like-minded people, network, etc., etc. This happy box, the name is still in progress, will not get me any money. But it's interesting and approachable so that if I bring a game, hopefully people will actually play it and I won't be some person sitting in a corner. Also, it's a collaborative platform, as I said, to meet more like-minded people. What about the money, you might ask? And the answer is there is none at the moment. Most businesses usually only become sustainable after a certain amount of years. That's why I'm not too down on the fact that I haven't made any money off games yet, because I'm building communities, etc., and you can get more downloads by putting up a free game online. But in the meantime, I can work at a climbing hall für bessere Aufstiegsmöglichkeiten. It's a pun in German. Okay, now I guess it's up to you to decide whether I am, in fact, indie, woo, yay, or I'm, in fact, unemployed. No. Okay, sorry. Thank you for your time. You can please follow me on Twitter. It makes me really happy. Thank you.
So one thing, today you sent me the PDF. I checked the PDF immediately and I saw there was a typo. And I wrote you an email, but then I deleted the email because I thought it was interesting. It was going to be funny. So, but yeah, it happens. Because, but anyway, in an employee, so sorry, but it happens all the time, But it's like, yeah. And yes, questions or suggestions. I don't know. Should be indie unemployed.
Statements, anything? Statements
or ways to trick or ways to trick the government. So maybe you're unemployed, but you're getting money, but you're indie, then you declare taxes, Mm-hmm. And yes, he has something to say.
Yeah.
Because I know the indie game Brewer you made in the second semester.
Mm-hmm.
Backlog, I think, too.
Yeah.
Is it the same as the free walking simulator?
It's this game. Sorry, the question was whether this graph belongs to that game, and the answer is yes, but there's more to the question.
Okay, Brewer is the same game as free walking simulator.
Yeah.
So why do you have more downloads on the free walking simulator? I think was 401 and Brewer just 8. I mean, you said
no, sorry. Maybe I should have gone to more detail on the graph itself. This is all downloads from Ruach, the same game. And under referrer, so here, these are all the links that led people to download my game or led people to the game's website. So the game got an article on Rock, Paper, Shotgun because it's got a trendy art style, etc. And that accounted for 401 visits you can see in the top there. So these are all from the same game, the numbers. Any other questions? No?
Stay silent. What suggestion?
Why do you want to be employed?
Why do I want to be employed or why don't I want to? Sorry.
Yeah, you're talking pretty negatively about employment, but I think employment is overrated.
Wait, you think employment is overrated?
Yeah, why should you?
I didn't say I need to be employed.
No, you said like, are you unemployed? But unemployed implies you don't have something, you don't have employment.
Yes, but like in employment usually means that you're getting money. Yeah. Hmm. I think we've run out of questions.
Tristan, good luck. And thank you.